Hey guys, it's Adam. Welcome to Do You Watch Anime, where I sit down with a guest every week and ask them, Do you watch anime? And we go from there. And today, joining me is voice actor of such characters as Ayano in Too Many Losing Heroines and Rukaku in Cherry Magic. Conner Allison, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm super well. Thank you for having me on. How are
Um,
you?
good. I am doing lovely. So, do you watch anime?
Yes, I watch anime. Um, I understand sometimes we have some anime actors who don't, and
Hmm.
they're either new to the industry or they come from other things like theater. But I am a lifelong anime fan, for better and for worse.
So, how did you originally get into anime?
For as long as I can remember, I've been an anime watcher, even before I really knew that it was anime. I grew up
Hmm.
watching Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, all of that kind of stuff, and I didn't even associate it as anything different than a cartoon. It was what was on TV and it was what I liked watching. And I
Hmm.
think the first time I made the conscious decision to watch what I considered anime, I guess
Yeah.
I was in like 6th grade, and well, and again, I was watching Naruto and stuff like that, but it all just felt like it was what was on Toonami, it was what was on Cartoon Network. But
Hmm.
I remember in like 6th grade, I had to go online to watch. It must have been Soul Eater,
Hmm.
and I had like the conscious, active decision to be like, this is anime. I can tell this is different, and it was
Yeah.
probably the gratuitous fan service for my 11-year-old brain that was like, ah,
Yeah.
they don't do this on Toonami,
Yeah.
at least not yet.
Yeah. Oh my god. So from that, where did you go from there? Cuz like the whole world's your oyster once you find, that kind of sphere of anime.
Great question. I kind of continued down the path I was on, which was
Mhm.
continuing to watch the shows I was already watching. I grew up, Chef Kiss, with the Four Kids dub of One Piece, so I will have always loved and appreciated that. The
Yep.
pirate rap is so
Yes,
so
so
much
good.
free real estate in my
Yep.
brain.
Yep.
And I played all of the Pirate Cruise, Pirate Carnival. I played all those games,
Oh my god.
so like Naruto, One Piece, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, all
Mhm.
of that stuff just has been like lifelong pillars of my life.
Yeah.
Um, but once I started going, oh, I'm watching anime, it kind of branches out, and I
Mhm.
watched Toradora, and I watched goodness, I have an old My Anime List
Yeah.
page where I used to so delicately log every single thing of everything I've ever watched, and I started logging manga and stuff like that, and then
Yeah,
eventually you just fall off the train because you're like, there's too much, I'm
of course.
consuming too much.
Yeah.
um but and then circa high school and undergrad is when I really met like my people, and it was less like I was watching these things by myself, and I started meeting friends who were also watching stuff. And I think it was in high school that someone said, oh, have you ever watched Gurren Lagann? And I was like, no. And so I remember looking that up, and just like, you can just imagine me, 13 or 14 years old, sitting in my chair, listening to that OP, and just like
Oh,
the music just
yeah.
washing over me, and
Yeah.
just what an experience. And from then on, Trigger, really, and then
Oh.
diverging out of there into Kill la Kill,
Mhm.
hilarious as a
Yeah.
teenager to watch. And that is like the ultimate show that you're watching by yourself, and then someone comes in and you're like, no, no, what,
Yeah.
no, no, it's not what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. My when I was getting back to it into it in college, my fiance now was like, "Okay, you got to watch this. It's Kill a Kill." And I was like, "What the hell am I watching?" And she's like, "Okay, hear me out. Like, you got to see how ridiculous this outfit is." And I was like, "Yes, it's ridiculous. Why are we watching this?" Um
no, 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 I promise it's good.
yeah. I was like, "Oh my god." But yeah, oh my god, I love it. So if you could voice any Pokemon,
Oh man,
which one would it be?
what a great question. I don't know if I've ever given that too much thought. So much of the time when I'm like doing like as a kid, you would do the
Mhm.
impressions of the one you
Of
you, you
course.
would hear and stuff like that. But as I grow older and I'm still playing the games, a lot of the times I'll see like a really cool gym leader or NPC character and be like, I'd like to read for them someday, But I haven't given thought to like a new Pokemon, and it's probably a
Mhm.
different answer based on what do I want to do and what do I think I would be good at. But what I
True.
want to do,
Yeah.
oh man, Goldango and Gimmighoul are my favorite two
Okay.
new Pokemon.
Yeah.
I really adore them. I know some people really couldn't stand the Gimmighoul coin mechanic and the little like weird stomach gurgling noise it made whenever you
Yeah.
passed by them in Scarlet and Violet. I think they're so cute.
Yeah. Oh my god. I love that. Yeah. I've had answers of like Eevee to Pikachu to yeah, I it's always a fun question because it always makes people go, hmm.
I hadn't quite thought about that yet.
Yeah. Oh my god. So what are some of your favorite anime like ever?
Yeah. Oh man. Just like what are some of my favorite anime?
Yeah.
Oh man. Shout outs to Death Parade, one of my
Hell yeah.
all-time favorites.
So
Um,
good.
I have rewatched it 3 or 4 times, and I cannot stop sobbing like a child during the ice skating scene towards the
Oh.
end of the season. It is one of my it is a perfect 4 minutes of anime. I wouldn't change a thing. And
Mhm.
and I don't even know if you really need the context to the character at that point for it to be as impactful as it is. So
Mhm.
Death Parade is like a a one shot for sure. Um, One Piece for sure is here's my One Piece tattoo. I've
Oh
got
yeah.
One Piece stuff here. My TCG decks.
Yeah.
It's just my favorite, and
Yeah.
so I can't not be just giddy whenever like a new chapter releases or a new episode. If you watched the fan letter recently, that was just
Oh,
such an absolute treat
so
to be
good.
a. It has never been a better time to be a One Piece fan than it is right
Literally.
now.
Yeah. And I have Robin with the
Oh, the
yeah.
I want to live
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah, yeah, that literally every time, it doesn't matter if it's TikTok or Instagram, it doesn't matter if it's like on there. I'm like, "Cool, I don't want to cry, so I'm going to swipe away."
Yeah,
Because
I need to keep moving.
yeah, because that is straight up probably my favorite scene of all of One Piece. Like,
Mhm.
oh, it's just
Oh, it's so good.
yeah.
It's one of those things where One Piece fans will tell you this all the time, and it's a running joke where people will be
Yeah.
like, when does One Piece get good? And most One Piece fans say it's always good, but
Yeah.
the answers are usually Arlong Park, so like
Mhm.
circa episode 40-50,
Yep.
or Enies Lobby, circa episode 400. And so it gets kind of hard to sell people. We're like, no, I promise it's really good. You just got to get to episode 400. But it is. And
Yeah.
Enies Lobby is probably my favorite arc
Mhm.
of One Piece is the Water 7, Enies Lobby. And it
Yeah.
doesn't help that it goes straight into Marineford War of the Best.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, so good. I used to read One Piece when I was like a kid. We had
Mm-hmm.
like those Shonen Jump things in Canada where like they would come out like monthly instead
Mm-hmm.
of weekly. And yeah, I originally bought it because Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh my god, Yugi's on the
Exactly.
cover of this. I gotta
Mm-hmm.
buy it. And then I was like, why is this not all Yu-Gi-Oh? What is going on? And I was like, what is this pirate stuff? Oh my god, there's blood.
You can do that?
Yeah, I was like, whoa, oh my god. And my I was like, what is this ninja stuff? And then I was like, ooh, I'm gonna keep reading this like pirate one because I was obsessed with like Pirates of the Caribbean, all that, like
Mm-hmm.
all the I was
Mm-hmm.
like that kind of it was that stage of childhood, I guess.
Uh-huh.
But I was like, oh my god, this is so good. And then the anime got announced to come on to Canadian TVs, and literally I was like, oh, this is so cool. And then I saw Sanji with a lollipop, and I went, for the first time in my life, I went, this isn't like the manga.
Hey, this is One Piece. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my god. Oh, but that
Just an
One Piece.
absolute
Oh,
treat. And this is not shade towards those
no,
actors. Four
no.
Kids is legendary for
Yeah,
making the cuts that it did for family friendly
yeah,
televised presentations, but it is a truly iconic and wonderful part of my childhood that I
yeah,
wouldn't trade.
yeah, 100%. I still watched every single episode.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think I had fallen off the One Piece train around Alabasta.
Mhm.
I think that was around the time because I remember just loving Crocodile, thinking he was so cool. And then I remember playing one of the games and getting to like Enel and Skypiea and going, what is this? I don't remember this. And then and then it wasn't until I was in college that
Mhm.
I just the running joke was this year I'm going to catch up on One Piece. I'm going to read
Yeah.
One Piece and all my friends are like you won't. And so like I was like no, I'm going to. I'm going to start over from the beginning and I'm going to watch all of One Piece.
Mhm.
And I think it was the beginning of Whole Cake Island when I
Okay.
started catching up, and I caught up over the course of like 9 or 10 months, which honestly is a very
That's
fast pace. That was like 3 or 4 episodes a day.
yeah.
Um, and I caught up then, and now I'm like, don't worry, guys, they're only on episode 1100. It's not that bad.
Yeah. Uh my fiance was always like, I can't watch it. It's like so long, blah blah blah. And I was like, please, just please, I'm begging you, please. It's so good. And then the live action came out and we watched that. And then she's like, okay, we can pick up where after the live action finishes. And I was like,
Mhm.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that
yes.
was yeah. I sent it to both of my siblings, and I was like, "You have
Yeah.
to watch the live action. I promise, it's not bad."
Yeah.
And my sister was like, "I couldn't get into it," and my brother binged it in like 24 hours, and he
Yeah.
loved it. And so we're excited for the new season.
Mhm.
We're getting pumped for it. I think it's I don't know if I'm going to be able to say anything here that hasn't already been said by
Mhm.
everyone, but I think it is personally my favorite anime like live action adaptation
Oh,
ever.
yeah.
And I think one of the reasons that it resonates with so many One Piece fans is the you can definitely feel Oda's fingerprints all over it. The creator, you can
Mhm.
tell he was a part of it and he loved it as much as every other person in that cast and crew loved doing it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a
One
job, it wasn't a paycheck, it wasn't, they all wanted to make One Piece. And I love that.
100%. I literally, as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh yeah, Oda's gonna be like directly involved with it. I was like, this is gonna be good.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, this is gonna be good. But yeah, watch, because going back, because we started at the basically the Alabasta arc. We I didn't realize my fiance turned to me and she's like, they simp over Ace? I was like, yeah, okay, listen, Alabasta Ace looks like a fish, okay? You
He
gotta
sure
hear,
does.
yeah, one eye's here, one eye's here, like, you gotta,
Oh,
you just gotta wait it out.
I I am constantly making this argument. I am God's number one ace hater. I I am not the ace stan, and so people all the
Yeah,
time. My best friend,
yeah,
his girlfriend, decorates their entire apartment with ace statues and stuff like that. She
Jesus.
loves ace,
Yeah.
and I'm just like him. That guy? Really? Like, and he's cool. Fire powers are cool. I get it.
Yeah.
But like him? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I literally, he came on screen, I went, "Oh, I forgot he looked like this."
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I mean, especially it's jarring if you're reading the manga and you look at his first appearance again because his tattoo looks very different than it does in the national televised
yep,
version of the
yep,
show.
yep, yep, had to explain that too, and she's like, "Oh." I was like, "Yeah."
It
We
has
don't talk
different
about that one.
connotations in the eastern part
Yeah,
of the world.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. Yeah, and
Him?
it's like,
That's your
yeah,
goat?
really? Him? I was like, listen,
I promise he's cool.
I promise he gets uh somewhat better looking. I just oh my god, just when he came on, I just went, "Oh, I forgot how much of an abomination he looks like."
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Yeah, watching Alabasta back, I'm just like, I love this arc so much. Like, it is just so good.
It's one of those arcs that when you're watching it the first time, you're like, this is really good. I
Mhm.
like it. This feels like the scope and the grand scheme of the show is
Yeah.
broadening in a way that I'm really interested in. And then
Mhm.
you come back to it after you're caught up, after you've
Yeah.
watched a dozen One Piece arcs, and you go, no, this is even better than I thought it was.
Yeah.
It feels like it has laid out the groundwork in so many ways for the overall narrative of the
Mhm.
series. And
Yeah.
Crocodile still holds up as just one
Oh,
of the coolest antagonists in the franchise.
100%. As a kid, even like seeing the like his claw hand. Oh my
Mm.
god. I was like, I'm obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
And like I Vivi is straight up one of my favorite characters in the show.
Mm-hmm.
She is
Mm-hmm.
just so good. Oh my
Uh,
god. So good. So moving on to roles that you voice.
sure.
You voice Ino in Too Many Losing Heroines.
Yes.
How, as an actor, how was it getting to play a character like that? Because he is smart, but he's also socially dumb as hell.
Honestly, between him and Rokaku, I started to think to myself as kind of like an emerging actor who's picking up the pieces and the roles
Mhm.
to try and start shaping my career. I
Yeah.
was like, is this intentional? Are you guys doing this? Do you guys know something about me that I don't know? But it's an absolute blast.
Yeah.
Aino was such a fun character.
Mhm.
I remember the email was a total surprise. I had never worked with the director, Helena, before. I
Mhm.
had never, there were, you know, I didn't audition for the character, anything like that. And so just, I get an email that says, this director would like to come hear you.
Wow.
And I say, okay. And I quickly, it's like 11 p.m. at that point, and I go ahead and I just pull up the first episode and watch it, and I go, oh, this is gonna be good. I can tell. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
remember hearing about anybody talking about this show as it
Mhm.
was coming out last season or getting ready to come out. There were a lot of eyes on some bigger releases like Alia and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and all of a sudden I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
So to loop back into your question, an absolute blast. I love playing comedic relief characters. I love playing stupid characters.
Mhm.
Um, it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
I love getting to play off of Kevin Thelwell's Nukumizu, who is
Yeah.
so, just like locked in, rigid. Not exactly what I'd say serious, but he's the straight man to all of the ridiculousness
Oh, yeah.
happening with all of the other characters.
Mhm.
And so, one of my favorite kind of underrated pieces of that the light novel is going to start leaning more into later, maybe like circa volume 8
Mhm.
and 7, would be that Nukumizu starts to have guy friends for the first time. And Ayano is, well, I don't know if this is spoilers, but Ayano's not gone. The other
Yeah.
male, like the winning heroes, as it were, they're not really gone. And
Mhm.
Nukumizu starts to surround himself with guy friends, and I think it's a really lovely kind of character arc for him that he's just
Mhm.
making all of these friends. Someone who at episode 1, season 1, is drinking from that water fountain and going to
Yep.
sit down in class alone.
Yeah. Yeah. One of probably my favorite scene in all of like season 1 was the scene with Ino and Lemon in the playground. How
Me too.
yeah, like the straight up the like kind of the feeling of like that's how you feel as a teenager.
Yeah.
Like how was it getting to be that raw? Because it was very, very like, I want to say raw again, but
No,
it was
totally.
very grounded and like it was just phenomenal.
So I met Bev, who plays Lemon, after our first
Mhm.
session. I think I went and then she went. And we don't often meet each other as voice actors. That's kind of like something that like a lot of people outside of the industry don't really recognize. We're not in the booth together a lot, if ever.
Mhm.
We, so I was lucky enough to meet a couple of my colleagues during the recording process for the show, and me and Bev quickly kind of clung and became friends. And so as we were watching the J weekly, getting ready for the English releases, because we'd like watch an episode and then we'd record for it like the week or week and a half afterwards. When we had watched that episode specifically, we both kind of were like, all right, we're gonna lock in.
Yeah.
This is gonna be it. And it was awesome because everyone involved, um, we really everybody wanted it to be as good as possible, you know.
Mhm.
And we work in an industry where everyone often wants everything to be as good as possible. But like everybody on this team specifically, I think we're kind of locked in
Mhm.
and just so going into that there was kind of a placid earnest seriousness in the
Mhm.
booth where I it was a night session for me, so the studio was mostly cleared out. It was like 8 p.m.
Mhm.
Um, and I went in there and it was dimly lit with some candles, and
Oh
I was
wow.
like, okay. And not
Yeah.
like a romantic candle thing,
No,
but
no,
more
no.
just like that kind of intimate,
Yeah.
tender um vibe that you want to
Mhm.
go for, even at the volume I'm speaking right now would be way too loud, and so we
Yeah.
just kept pulling back, and it was just two old friends whispering to each other, you know. And so that will go down probably as one of my favorite sessions of all time, you know. I remember leaving that session and just kind of sitting in my car for like 10 minutes before driving home and going, shoot. you know it it's heavy and real in a relatable way,
Mhm.
for anybody who's ever been in that like high school situation where you don't know what you want,
Yeah.
and how could you're still working through hormones and you have a not fully developed brain,
Yeah.
and and especially something that kind of hinges back on the previous topic. Ino is dumb, but it's not like weaponized incompetence. He
No.
is a a genuine thick in the brain,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so for him, at least in that scene with Lemon, all the turmoil and the heartbreak that Lemon is going through, he doesn't even have the inkling that that's going on. And it's not until, they're kind of more seriously drawn to it. It's not until that scene at the museum where Lemon accidentally admits her feelings for him that he even recognizes that's what's been going on. And
Yeah.
so I think it's nice that for once, maybe in the series, he can kind of um, bunker down and be like, we're going to have a real talk, and I'm going to be
Mhm.
100% with you, and you're 100% with me. And then for the scene of them walking home after,
Oh.
it
Oh.
I have so many feelings about that, and at the
Yep.
end of the day, I'm still shipping them
Yep.
together. I love Chihaya. Chihaya
Yeah.
is super cute, and super weird, but at the end of the day, I don't know how the light novel is going to end. We'll see. It's doing tremendously well in Japan, and
It
is the
is.
trajectory is that it's going to just keep going for a little while.
Yeah.
Um, but I could definitely see that being something that rekindles again a little down the line.
Mhm.
Um, and I would love that, because as different as they are, in a lot of ways, the show tries to show that, what is it? It's the show tries to show how different they are. Lemon wants to, Lemon's not book smart like Chihaya and Ayano are. But Chihaya and Ayano like geek out together over like the tablets and the stuff like that at the museum. But Lemon was also just as excited to be there, especially compared to Anna, who was like, you want me to go underground
Yeah.
into a museum? This is really.
Yeah.
And Lemon's popping off over the mine cart and some of the little videos that are playing. And so I think they have more in common,
Mhm.
and have a lot more good synergy and chemistry
Mhm.
that could lead to something down the line. That's
Yeah.
just me shipping here on God's internet in front of everyone. So
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Steve Yurko.
And I'm Tara Sands. Now available from Maji Media is our new podcast, 4Kids Flashback. 4Kids is the company who brought you the English dub of Pokemon in the late 90s and so many other shows like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Shaman King, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Kirby, the infamous One Piece dub, and so many more.
We'll be talking to the people who worked at 4Kids. Actors, directors, writers, editors, producers, engineers, you get the point. And hopefully get the answers to questions both you and I have about the company.
I actually worked there as a voice actor on some of the shows.
And I was a kid watching the shows and remember way more than Tara does.
And thank God for that. Steve is actually a professional storyboard artist, which gives some really unique insights into anime and animation. Subscribe today wherever you get your podcasts. That's the number 4 Kids Flashback.
Welcome to the Patreon shout-out portion of today's episode. It's a part of the show where I give my patrons a shout-out. So, here we go. Thank you to Ray, Hayden, Bunny, Mikey, Blythe, Brooke, Buff Boy, Gio, and Keith. Again, thank you so much to my patrons. If you want to support the show and get exclusives like Patreon-exclusive videos, BTS clips, guest teases, and even the episode a day early. Thank you again to everyone who has subscribed to the Patreon. It really helps the show keep going, and if you'd like to subscribe, the link will be down the description below. Now, back to the episode.
No, I am in agreement with you on that. I'm just like, you fucking blockhead, just come on.
that I remember, I think Kevin,
Mhm.
Kevin Thawell Nukumizu, he described the character to me as I think is described in the light novel as a man with the same density as a black hole, as a neuron star, and I just love that so much because
Yeah.
our scene, me and Kevin's scene,
Yeah.
specifically after Mitsuki Aino thinks Chihaya is cheating on him with
Yeah.
Mizu, and so they have like that talk, and then somehow Ayano comes to the the conclusion that he actually is in love with Lemon, and they set up a double date, which is as bad as that probably could have gone.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I remember watching going, oh no.
I live for the chaos.
Yeah, and like he thinks he's so in the right. He's like, I got you, boy. Like,
yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm gonna be your wingman, man. I'm here to help.
Yeah. Oh my god. And like one of my favorite running gags in the show with Chihaya is the little sunspot on her goddamn forehead. It is so funny. Every time it comes up, I know it's coming, but I still laugh my ass off because it's just because at the start I'm like, this girl's forehead is fucking massive. And then like 2 episodes later, that joke keeps happening, and I'm like,
it's not that it was an accident. They want you to know.
Yeah.
It must have even just been like the first or the second episode when we were recording, me and Helena, the director. We both were kind of like, they did her so dirty. They didn't need to make her look like this. And every time They fully commit to it. I
Yeah.
love how terrifying she is.
Oh yeah.
I
She's.
love slightly later in the season when
Mhm.
she just decides that for the school fair she is going to build her own firearm.
Mhm.
That's something that you can't do, Chihaya.
Yep.
But is anyone going to tell her no? I wouldn't.
I would not.
There's
Oh
a
my
really
god.
great Kodo's VA,
Yeah.
Madeline Norton, sent me a meme once that she found from a Japanese artist that was Ayano going to visit Chihaya in jail after she was arrested for building firearms. And the translation of the comic is roughly to I can't keep bailing you out of jail. I just love that. I think about that relationship all the time
Yeah.
because is that going to be something that lasts?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. I just love the stark contrast between like you have these real like down to earth moments,
Oh
and then
yeah.
you have pure anime, sometimes fan service, where I was like with the lemon in the yeah, I was like, am I gonna have to, oh god damn
Is this
it.
going to be one of those shows?
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and it wasn't for the most part.
No.
I think I was just explaining to Madeline actually,
Mhm.
um, and my friend Marissa Duran,
Mhm.
Duran. Um, and I was explaining to both of them the 3 episode hook,
Yeah.
which is something that once you start looking for, you'll see
Mhm.
is that I guess there's enough internal statistics within anime studios that viewership will either continue on steady and straightforward after episode 3 or it crashes.
Yeah.
Most people will give up a show at episode 3. So something happens in episode 3 every time that is wild to
Yeah.
keep your interest. And once you start looking for it, you'll notice it. Episode 3, I believe, is that lemon episode, I think.
Yeah. I
And
think
so it's
so.
like, okay. Or, for example, in Madoka Magica, it's the stuff that
Mhm.
happens, if you're familiar with that show, it's the stuff that happens with Mommy, the
Yeah.
yellow-haired girl.
Mhm.
Spoilers for people who haven't watched a 16-year-old magical girl anime.
Yeah.
But you know, and so I was a little worried that it was going to be extremely fan servicey the whole ride throughout. I love
Mhm.
fan service, but I was afraid that that was going to, like you said, get in the way of those
Yeah.
kind of tender, serious moments. And
Mhm.
that is something that I appreciated so much about the show is those moments. It's Lemon and Ayano holding hands on their way home. It's um Anna crying on the rooftop with
Yeah.
Nukumizu. You know, you have these over the top wacky moments and then the juxtaposition to these really, like you said, raw, intimate, tender, emotional scenes of
Mhm.
what in a lot of ways I consider extremely genuine representations of high school romances,
Yeah.
and specifically what I love and the the central thesis to the entire show is that whenever there's a winning hero pair heroine, usually that means there's a losing set
Mhm.
or someone who doesn't get what they were hoping for. And I think the entire show's premise of kind of digging in and looking at those people is often more relatable. Who hasn't
Mhm.
had an unrequited crush? Who hasn't had something they wanted to work out that just didn't stand the test of time, or it petered out, or whatever it was? And so I think having those emotional raw moments rather than just the ones that work out and fall together um, end up being such a unique take for a piece of anime.
Yeah. And like even like yeah, I had so much fun watching it. Like it was just it was such a kind of breath of fresh air, because
Mhm.
sometimes in anime you get used to kind of the beat for beat, like, oh, I know what this is going to happen, sometimes
Yeah.
in romance anime that happens quite a lot.
Mhm.
And it's just, again, such a breath of fresh air to have those kind of, again, raw moments where, like, literally you could cut the tension with a knife, And like, oh my god, that's the scene with Ino and Lemon, and as well as the kind of scene on the beach with I forget the little one's name right now, but confessing to the president. That was I was like, God damn, this is so messy.
But
like,
messy in the best way, like we're talking
totally.
about, you know. It's just it's almost great to see loser representation.
Yes.
That's probably a bad way to say that, but like, you know what I mean? Where it's just like someone who only consumes media in that way might be led to believe that with enough confidence, everything is going to work out for you, and your crush is always going to be into you, and you just have to say it confidently enough, or try hard enough, or ask them out enough times. But to have a show that just, yeah, exactly. But to have a show that kind of maybe breaks that down and says not everything is meant to be, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I think is really wonderful. I thought the setup for it was purely just going to be for humor.
Yeah.
When I was like reading the wiki synopsis, and I was okay with that. That was still going to be funny.
Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting to be punched in the chest.
Yeah.
You know, by the show. And I think based on the general trajectory of show popularity throughout the season, I don't think most people were either. It started with kind of like day 1, day 2 viewership was like kind of mid, and then through word of mouth, it just kind of sat at the top for the majority of the season for popularity, because I think a lot of people were taken by surprise that a show could so delicately, in a lot of ways, handle the experiences we've all been through, and kind of getting to see that reflection of ourselves, perhaps magnified because it was so unexpected. And it came from a place we weren't waiting on it.
Yeah, 100%. And the animation is so beautiful.
I am so I don't mean to step on your words here, but I am after an entire season of staring at that for hours every week while working, and while just like being a casual fan of the show for episodes where Mitsuki wasn't even in them. I am so spoiled. I go back to other shows where people are like, you got to watch this, the animation's crazy, and I go, it's nice.
Yeah.
You know, every episode of Heroines felt like a film. I remember watching the first episode and saying, how is this a seasonal? Genuinely, how? And we all kind of were like, oh, well, it's going to like crash in the middle. It didn't.
No.
You know?
Literally. I'm like, this looks like, I saw the trailer and I was like, this looks like a movie. Like, straight up.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't.
Oh my God. Like,
insane.
Yeah, literally. Like, I was like, how are you making me want to drink out of this water fountain so badly? Like,
I was watching it with one of my closest friends, and he said, you know, when you're doing a slice of life romance or whatever it is, and you don't need to put your budget into, you know, crazy high octane action scenes, you could put it into that water fountain. You could put it into that bike being reflected with like the lowering sunbeam in the trees, you know, just like small things that like just show how good the direction was for the show. Shout outs for the director.
Yeah, 100%. Oh my God. Moving on to a more BL side of things.
Okay.
So you voiced both BL dubs of Twilight Out of Focus and Cherry Magic.
It's a good year for BLs.
Oh, 100%. I was about to say that. I was like, how insane is it that we get not just one, we're used to none.
Exactly.
Not just one BL dub, but two? I was like...
Exactly. That was a surprise to a lot of us as well, and a really welcome one.
Yeah, 100%. Like, oh my God, because we watched Cherry Magic subbed first, and as it was coming out, and it was, I love that show so much.
Oh yeah, because we did it a month afterwards. That's why I think it was the big surprise. Yeah, is that by the time the dub was starting out, we were all kind of like, oh, I didn't think we were doing this, and so it kind of gave us that second resurgent wave of excitement.
100%. And so I was watching a few clips a couple days ago, and there was a line that you said that had me on the floor. I rewatched it like 5 or 6 times, and it's just one line, and straight up it's he puts a box down and says,
I knew
"Wowsy,
exactly
wowsy."
what it was.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what it was gonna be.
Yeah, I paused and went, "I'm sorry, what?" So, was that improv? Was that in the script?
That was straight up in the script.
Oh my
And
God.
I love that. I think it was an alt. So
Okay.
oftentimes, especially if a line is going to be unique like that, we'll say, they will put in the script like the safer version of the line, and then they'll put like an alternate underneath it that says like, we'll get 1 or 2 of those,
Yeah.
we'll see. And every time like Rokaku had an alt, before we even did anything, Jason Lord, the director, would just delete the original and be like, this is the one we're doing. And he would choose the weirdest one, and Downsy Wownsy or whatever it was indeed one of those alts that just became the original. I don't even remember what the original was at this point.
Oh my God. I was like, my fiance was in the other room and she's like, "What are you laughing at?" I was like, "No, we got to turn up the volume on this. You got to hear this. This is just random, like, oh my God."
Where did you even see that? Was it like clipped for like TikTok or something?
Oh no, I was watching a full ass episode.
Oh,
yeah. I was watching a full ass episode. He puts the box down and downsy wownsy. I was like, "Excuse me?" Oh my God. So how is it playing Rokaku, who's again kind of a dumbass?
He's such a dum. I
He's
think that's
so
what he says
dumb.
about himself in an earlier episode.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Again, similar to Mitsuki,
Yeah.
just a blast. I love these types of characters. If I had a career of only playing dumb good guy best friend characters, I'm in.
Yeah.
That's my dream. You know, I constantly adore that trope. If you're familiar with Persona 3, Junpei Iori, my man. Persona 5, Ryuji. These kinds of characters are just so much fun to me. And so Rokaku is even a little different because in some ways his might be weaponized incompetence. I'm not 100% sure his is totally innocent, and I love that about him even more. I think the characterization that gives him is just such a blast. So one of my favorite episodes is so again, this was another surprise. I had gotten to read for a couple characters, and Rokaku was not one of them. And so I get the email like midway into the season. He shows up in like episode 3, and was just like, "Hey, can you come in for this role? The director would like you." And I said, "Oh, okay." I'm super excited, and I watch the sub, and I go, "Oh, I don't sound like that at all." Oh no! And so I was really nervous of how that was going to come out. So I was like, well, rather than fake something that's not, I'm just going to go and I'm going to do my interpretation of the character with the script I'm given and the wonderful direction I had every episode. And we're going to go for it. And it was just so much fun, so much room to play. Jason was so good about giving me, and I know my other castmates, the leniency to go too far. And very rarely was it too far. And he was really good about making the jokes over the top when they needed to be, and then just saying too much when we're doing the kind of intimate internal thoughts, you know, when Rokaku's mind is being read, and he would just be like, too much, just delicate, you know, say it as you're not even saying it as if anyone could hear it. So just a 1 out of 10. And I think, again, similar to losing Heroines, you kind of end up getting that little bit of, oh, I wasn't expecting this to kind of be so tender in that way. You know, romances are romances, and BLs are wonderful, but something that I have to tell my queer friends who are not anime people is that oftentimes BLs are not written for queer and specifically gay men. BLs are written for and by fujoshi, which is a type of fandom, usually of straight women who like watching gay romance. And there's nothing wrong with that. I love that. It's just sometimes they peter into fetish territory.
Yeah.
And that's where it can kind of get a little complicated, is that for people who want to see that kind of very real representation, oftentimes it ends up reading more like smut. And so to have something like Cherry Magic, which has flirty moments for sure, don't get me wrong, but has that more kind of tender, real romance, I think speaks so much about why the series, and in all of its versions, the manga, the anime, and the live action, have all been so successful, is because I think a lot of people just really loved watching it. And it didn't just feel like watching yourself be fetishized on TV.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately can happen.
Unfortunately, yeah. And you can feel that kind of earnestness through the anime, and I haven't seen the live action, but you can feel that this is just a love story, and it's not just, it's not, BL, like BL straight in your face, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And and as talking on like giving you guys room to play, and you can totally tell that in the dub, that you were given kind of this room, and everyone seems to be having so much fun, and it's I love that show so much.
It is a show that I see myself coming back to. Annually I will probably just rewatch it again because it's comfortable. Rokaku was my first I would say I don't want to. He's not quite a main character, but he's amongst the more important and maybe the most important supporting character. And so for me, that was really special because I hadn't gotten to do anything at that level before, and so I kind of threw myself wholeheartedly into that role because not only did I want to prove myself, I also wanted to stretch those acting muscles that we're not always given the opportunity to do. And so I just really wanted to play up the goofy ridiculousness of him while also getting to then reel back and have those moments of, I'm just a dude who lost his passion in life, who is afraid he's losing his friends, afraid he isn't in love with the career path he chose, and gets to reconnect with his best friend and pick up his hobby again and like get that newfound love for his own life. And I think that was just so much fun, and was really helpful for me as well, as someone who through their career path has dipped and dawdled and moved around. I thought I knew what I wanted to do, and then I changed it, and then I did something adjacent, and I thought I really wanted to do that, and then I realized I didn't, and then I kind of hit a brick wall in the pandemic and said, what do I want to do? And that's when I started voice acting. And so for me, also having that moment of kind of coming to terms with realizing you weren't as passionate about your career as you thought you were, but that there were things that you could be passionate about, things that you would wake up excited to do every day, was really exciting. And so that part of Rokaku really kind of spoke to me.
I love that. Yeah, and that's kind of what you're looking for as an actor, is a character that you really connect to and can like really like dig your teeth into. So how did you originally get into acting?
So I've been acting, goodness, small skits and stuff like that since, I guess, middle school, like sixth grade, which here in the States is usually around like, I think, 10 or 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I would do like small little skits and stuff like that, but I wasn't in the theater department. I didn't do like the school plays, but I was always really jealous of the kids who did. I wanted to do that, but I was too nervous and I was too shy. And I thought that like if I tried and I failed, it would be the worst thing ever. That 10-year-old, brain
Yeah.
just cannot handle rejection. And I was a really sensitive kid. I'm a sensitive adult, but I was a really sensitive kid.
Yeah.
And so that level of rejection was just more than I could handle. I couldn't do anything. But I also, as a kid, was really into like the macabre and Tim Burton stuff. So my favorite like movie, one of my top 3 movies of all time, and my favorite movie as a kid was The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Heck yeah.
And so when the movie film version of Sweeney Todd came out, I remember watching that and going, oh, that's cool. Musicals can be cool and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so my freshman year of high school, after I had gotten done going through middle school, kind of wishing to be a part of stuff, my freshman year of high school, the school musical was Sweeney Todd. And I said,
oh, wow.
Okay,
Meant
this
to
is
be.
it. This is it. And so I go to auditions and I leave. I did not audition. I chickened out at the last moment. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I was too nervous. And so, as anyone does, I show up to callbacks after not having auditioned for the show. And I just sat there and I watched like the whole time. And it's jarring to me that the director didn't even ask, like, why are you here?
Why is this
the music teacher, the choir director? It just blows my mind that didn't happen. But on my way out, after everyone had sung, I just kind of slipped out the back. I wasn't looking for attention. I just wanted to hear the other kids sing. I wanted to be a part of it in some way. I slipped out, and the music teacher followed me out and said, do you like want to be in the show or something? And I said, like, really badly. And he said, sing something. And I must have sang, oh goodness, like 3 seconds of something. And he said, oh yeah, you can be in this. You'll be in the chorus. We start rehearsals these days. And I picked up a bunch of solos. It's an ensemble show that there has a bunch of choral solos. So I picked up a bunch of those, skipped to the advanced chamber choir my second semester, had a supporting role the next year, and had like 4 lead roles my junior and senior year in musicals. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I love musicals. I want to be a singer. I want to do this. But I always had that thought in the back of my mind that I'm not a great dancer. I'm 6'3", so I don't look the part of a lot of these things. And so I was always nervous that maybe it wouldn't work out. And I was so afraid again of rejection that I would try out for one of these musical theater programs and it would just dissipate. But I knew I was a really good singer, or at least I thought I was at the time. Had I known that I maybe wasn't as good as I thought I was, maybe I wouldn't have pursued music. But at that point, I've come to terms that I am a working professional now, and I'm confident in my abilities, even if I have to remind myself sometimes. But so I slipped and dipped into opera because it was going to be more singing heavy and more acting heavy, the 2 things that I was confident in. And I went to a really wonderful conservatory in the Northeast United States and studied classical music, shifted into the vocal performance program, and then went to, for my graduate degree, I went to one of the most prestigious opera schools, the Jacob School of Music in Indiana, to pursue opera. And that's what I was going to do. And going to a place like that where all of a sudden, you're a small or even medium-sized fish in the middle of the ocean, and you're there, I'm 22 years old at that point, and I'm singing against people who are in their doctorate degree, who are 30, who are just some of the most, these are industry professionals who will be working the rest of their lives. And I'm like, Oh wow, I am out of my league, and I was afforded some wonderful opportunities there. I got to do some great stuff. I love classical music and I love opera. I am still a working professional here in Dallas, Texas. I sing. My day job when I'm not doing voice acting is I'm a professional singer and I sing with multiple professional ensembles and choirs here in Dallas. Um, but getting to see that, and specifically going through my first audition season in fall of 2019, where I was going to, do you know you have to pay for auditions in opera? It's like the only field I've ever heard where you have to pay to make someone
What?
listen to you, and it's like $100 per audition.
Oh my
It's
God.
ludicrous. So all of a sudden I'm like $600 out sending auditions to a bunch of companies, and some of them are like, oh yeah, you have a callback, fly out to Colorado and come sing for us. And then out of the like 100 people or so we requested, we're going to take like 20 or 30 into the actual production, which is going to pay you like $1,000 over the course of the summer
Oh
as
my
a
God.
emerging artist, a young artist, as they call them. I don't mean to fully
Jesus.
go into my gripes with the opera
No.
scene here, but um, all of a sudden after that, I'm getting second thoughts. I'm getting cold feet. Like, is this really what I want to do? I love the art form. I love the medium. I love my friends, but I do not know if I love this career.
Yeah.
And then I slam face into the brick wall of the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no live theater going on. And for the first time, I am forced to take a break from my rocket fuel, nitrous career trajectory where I didn't take any time off. I just went straight through. I had a graduate degree at 23 years old for an extremely specific field. And I just have like 10 months where I'm sitting at home going, what do I want to do? When
Mm-hmm.
is the last time I asked myself what I wanted to do? And I'm sitting with my roommate. Shout outs to Addison. And we're watching the dub of Hunter x Hunter. And I go, I could do that. Not like I'm a better than these people things, but like I could toy with that. I'm still, as we talked about earlier, I'm a lifelong anime fan, and
Mm-hmm.
I have, but it had somehow never occurred to me that I was allowed to be in anime. Like that was something that a normal dude like me could do. It
Yeah.
felt like impenetrable, and it felt impossible. And so for all of a sudden I sit and think to myself, what do I want to do? I've got a little bit of extra money set aside. I'm working a remote job right now, so I'm not worried about it. I call up my friend who I went to undergrad with. She's an audio engineer in Manhattan, and I say, what do I need to start? And she says, it's like $100. This will get you going. And I was like, $100? Could I do cheaper? And she goes, no. Like this is like, if you want to give this a serious start, it's an XLR mic and an interface,
Yep.
and build a tiny booth in your closet like so many of us start doing. And I just said, okay. And I pulled the trigger, and I haven't looked back since.
Hell yeah. Oh my God. So going from a fan of anime to being in anime, how has that relationship changed?
Oh man, that's a fantastic question. That is a fantastic question because it's changed a lot in
Yeah.
a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Both good and bad, but mostly good, and specifically recently exclusively good. You know. So, one of my big things when I was starting is that I refused to listen to other actors in English. I was still only watching subs. I was really just trying, because I was self-conscious. I didn't want to hear someone that was better than me, because not that I was like, oh, I'm going to be so angry and frustrated. I was worried about being disheartened. I would hear someone better than me and say, why am I even trying? I'm not that good. And I would talk myself out of it. So I completely just kind of threw it to the side, and I would just watch the subs of the shows I wanted to watch, and I would continue trucking along, doing auditions, playing games that had English dubs, like the Persona series or Fire Emblem, stuff like that have well decided on good, great dubs. But I wouldn't choose to spend my free time listening to them. And so all of a sudden, I kind of hit it must have been right before like Cherry Magic earlier this year. I decided I just need to do it, and I want to do it. it was right before Cherry Magic because I hadn't gotten cast, and I was like, I need to hear what other people are doing. I have to push myself out of my comfort zone, and I need to hear what's working. And I watched, with my friend, we watched the English dub of Blue Lock season 1 because we have a long list of shows we want to watch. Me and my best friend Joey, we keep a Google Doc of like shows we've been meaning to watch but just haven't got around to watching yet. And so we watched the English dub of Blue Lock season 1. We watched the English dub of Beastars season 1. We watched so good. And we watched. Hold on a second. I'm actually gonna pull up my anime list right now. That way we can tell. We watched all of Your Lie in April in English, which I had not done yet. And especially as a classical musician, that show just ripped my heart out. Just absolutely tore me to shreds.
Yeah.
And so, and we've got a bunch of stuff left over too. And we've been going through a bunch of nostalgic stuff too. So we're like midway through Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. So falling in love with dubs has been the best thing to happen to me in the last year. It felt like it almost, you know, the scene in Ratatouille where the food critic eats the piece of food, it zooms in and he's a child again. It was exactly that, to go like, this is the fun of waking up Saturday morning and watching that new episode of Pokemon. This is the fun of doing that. And it took me back not only to being a child, but like, as a creative, I felt touched in like, and I love subs. I try to watch both a lot of the times, especially if it's a role that I'm playing. I want to hear what's been set for me and what the fantastic seiyuu have laid the groundwork for. But I also want to watch dubs of different stuff and see those different textures, flavors, stuff like that, and meld them into my performance. I do not want to just copy what the person before me has laid down. I want it to be my performance and my genuine soul being laid bare. And oftentimes I am playing those comedic roles, and so maybe that doesn't read as well as I'm articulating right now. But I live for these kinds of shoujo romances and serious stuffs. I remember, not even on the list, but one of the things that affected me the most this year was watching the English dub of A Silent Voice and just thinking to myself,
let's go! That's my favorite anime movie ever.
Yes, it might be mine now too, honestly. And I sat and thought to myself, I want to do that. You know, maybe, obviously not that specifically, but I want to give other people the experience I felt watching that and feeling so moved, so powerfully moved. I mean, it felt like I was sobbing the entire time. What a great film, and every actor who was a part of it is just world class.
Yeah,
you know, some of the best we have.
Yeah, it's a part of why I wanted to start doing this, because I was at a really small con a couple of years ago where Robbie Damon was, and we went to one of his like Q&As, and I asked a question about why he, you know, like what was his favorite part about voicing the main character. And he went on this big 20-minute long explanation, and I'm like, oh, this is fun. and then so on and so forth, and here we are. But I'm just like, I love that movie so much.
I am so, and I think my little sister said she's going to watch this interview. So Nicole, watch A Silent Voice. I've been telling you to watch it over and over again. I mean it.
Yeah, do it.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. I remember I think we just put it on Netflix. And I just remember bawling my eyes out the entire time.
And like I knew, like if you read the synopsis, you go, oh, this is gonna be heavy. But the direction it goes is far heavier than you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
Without it just being soul crushing. I've watched stuff that just felt depressing.
Yeah.
I've watched movies and stuff like that where I come out on the other end and I go, am I better for having watched this? Like, is this really what I wanted? But
Yeah.
this is one of those movies that just start to finish, it's the best. And
Yeah.
so to loop back around to your original question, how things have changed for me as a fan of anime who does voice acting, I can't think of anything better than being a fan of the work I get to do and going in excited every day to work that I work and just saying, how lucky am I? You know, I try to take it that way every time because it really does still feel surreal that in the last year I've started to just do the thing proverbially, you know, and make the magic and it still doesn't feel real sometimes, and I'm hoping I'm going to get to keep doing it for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I get the feeling of like, what was it? It was the feeling of like, I can't believe I get to do this.
Yeah.
Like every time I'm like, okay, all right. Or like a voice actor I really look up to emails me back. I'm like, holy mother of God, why are you talking to me?
No, but for serious,
Yeah.
it's so great, and you're a great interviewer.
Oh,
So
thank you.
don't don't ever talk yourself down in that way. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
we're both just two people getting to do what we want to do.
Yeah. 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 Oh my God. Thank you so much for being on. Where can the lovely people find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky, Instagram, the other app, all at Conner Allison VA. I would say I'm most active on Blue Sky recently. I've been really enjoying that. So follow me there if you want to see what I'm up to.
Yeah, go follow them. You can follow me at Corky Cosplays on Instagram, Adam Corky everywhere else. Subscribe to the Patreon. You get an episode day early and all behind the scenes, all that fun stuff. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.